Hello, this is Veronica with Once Upon a Homeschooler, and I'm here today to do a video review of the Happy Cheetah reading system. As you can see, I've opened my box. It is very full. The box is pretty large, about the size of my hand, and it's even wider across than it is tall. So it's a fairly big box, and I'm just going to go through several of the things that are in the box. So the first thing I have here is this labeling and cover up tape. It looks like just a white tape that you can put on something and then write on the tape. I did not see in the program what that's for yet, so I actually don't know. So this is pretty much just like an unboxing, but I've already opened everything up and looked at it. This is a pencil grip. It's called the pencil grip. There's only one. I have two girls who might want to use this program, so I might need to buy another one. Next, they have a button that just says push. And this comes with the batteries. When you push the button, it just goes
easy.
So that's all there is to that. I'm pretty sure it's for some of the games, but I have not seen the instructions for that yet in the book. I've only just looked through everything briefly. I have not done an in-depth. I will do a better review when I know more about the program and have tried it out. Magnetic letters. Consonants are blue. Vowels are red, and Y is red and blue because it's sometimes a vowel, sometimes a consonant. There are these cards. They are laminated, they are hole punched, and they come with a separate book ring that you can put through there to hold them together. On the front, they have the capital and lowercase of each letter and a picture that represents the sound. On the back, they are dry erase handwriting things. So I'm going to put one of my dry erase markers here, and you just have your child, and I can't do this while I'm holding my camera, but have your child trace the letters. Yeah, see, that's sloppy, but have your child trace the letters, and you can just erase them. And of course, it's not erasing very well because I'm trying to do it while I'm showing you. But you just have them erase them. And there are dry erase markers that I have not opened up yet that come with an eraser on them, so you don't have to erase it with your fingers. And these are also magnetic, so they will stick to a magnetic whiteboard, so your child can use those. I just showed you one of my markers. There are these games. These boxes are my boxes. They did not come with. There are 3 card games sets. This is card game set 3. All the cards will have 3 spots, and card game set 2, all the things will have 2 spots, and then set 1, and they all have 1 spot. And as you can see here on the front, they all have the 1 spot to keep them straight, and they all have a word on them. And this kind of reminds me of I don't know if any of you remember the old Wowza Brain program that worked on working memory and getting your child to just look at words and know them without having to stop and think about what they are and how to sound them out and spell them. So it's not exactly like a sight word because you want it to teach your child the words, but it's not exactly like a phonics program either. So each set has different words, and they will tell you in the workbooks when to use them. So there is that. There are 1 piece of black cardboard, which I have not, or construction paper, which I have not seen the instructions for yet. There is 1 package of colored pencils, mini colored pencils. This was created by the same person that made Spelling UC, and as you may be well aware of they use the colored pencils to do chunking of words, which I will show you in one of the workbooks a little later on. And then there are these bookmarks, which I believe tie in with these books and these workbooks. I'm going to show you these books. They're 12 books really quickly. They are color graduated, which I love. I love color coding. Anytime you can color code something, it just makes it all that much better for me. These are color coded, and they are beautiful books. They're small books about the size of a child's hand. And there are 12 of them, and they go in order from easy to harder, and they match the color of the workbooks. So if you see some of the workbooks down here, the orange books will go with the orange workbook, and so on and so forth. And they have numbers on the sides, and then on the front it also tells you it's reader 1 down here. And these all have they're all about 130, 25 pages. They all have several stories in them with a table of contents in the beginning. And then they have several stories. And each story or each page has a picture across so you can see what you're reading. So it's, some of them are very, very short because you're just having a beginning reader here. Here's a introduction to the page. And so the stories are just pretty short, helping your child learn the words. I find this program really interesting because I was expecting a phonics-based program, and it's not really. It's not like an OG or All About Reading. It's almost like a completely sight word program, except it's not that either. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out. It's very interesting to me, and I'm really, really excited about it. You can tell I'm excited because the more excited I am, the faster I talk, and I'm probably talking really, really fast, but I'm trying really hard to slow myself down. This is book 2. And then the first book is about my family and Nana and Papa. Things I Like is book 3. So that's going to tell you about foods I like or toys I like. Book 4 tells you about my day. And I'm going to show you inside a few more of the books a little closer later. But this tells you I wake up in the morning, I get dressed, I eat my breakfast, I learn stuff. We Have Fun is book number 5. This tells you about things that you like to do, like go to the ocean, to the beach, to the zoo, to the playground, to the farm. And then these are the books I really like. The animals one start in book 6. This is home and farm animals, and I just love the pictures. You can see the stories are getting longer with harder words, but I like the pictures. I like the fun aspect to it. And what child doesn't love animals, really? I mean, children just usually most children love animals. So this is just perfect for most children. I have one that loves ducks and penguins, so that's nice to see that in there. The next one is Bugs and Small Animals. I'm not that fond of bugs, but if you look in here, these bugs are cute. So they're not so bad. They're not like some ugly bugs. I have a bug phobia. Anyways, these books are informative. They tell you information about the bugs, like spiders are big and can live for some spiders are big and can live for a very long time, and very large spiders can eat frogs or fish. If you're doing Charlotte's Web, you'll know that because you'll hear the story about them, eating the fish. So this is cute. Guinea pigs, squirrels, chameleons. Anyways, the next one is Land and Sea Animals. Very much the same, just slightly harder words. Flamingos, alligators. The next one is Zoo Animals. This one's a little bit thinner than some of the other ones, but there are sloths, camels, Komodo dragons, and I like that picture on the cover. That's really cute. That's Reader 9. Reader 10 has birds in the beginning. So you have your hummingbirds. And then in the back they have jobs. So post office, garbage collector, just different. There's dairy farmer, bull rider. And then the last 2 books are Fairy Tales Retold Part 1, which takes many of your classic fairy tales, Gingerbread Boy, and turns it into Gingerbread Girl. So there's a twist on each one. So they're new and fun and interesting and funny, so your child isn't just reading the same fairy tales they already know. And then the last one is Fairy Tales Retold Book 2. And as you can see, they're getting into harder, longer stories with more and more words. And that doesn't make it more challenging for them. So that would be about the 4th grade reading level. And then the workbooks here. I'm going to show you this prep book first. It's kind of like a pre-book, but it's not. I was very surprised when I opened it and saw it. I was going to turn my camera, but I think that's confusing for people when I turn my camera. In the beginning here, it just has some introductions. The copyright page. This is not allowed to be reused for a second child. I haven't cleaned up my floor. I'm just too excited. This is just a dedication page telling you that they're trying to end worldwide literacy, which is a great goal. And a little bit of information about the program, the success rate, and different information about it. There's guidelines. There is a page here that shows you the letter card, the letter sounds, or the letter chart, and these match the cards. There's A, and that's the apple one there, and then there's F. Where's F here for this fish here, and so on and so forth. So you can see the letter chart. But one of the surprising things is they begin not with teaching your child how to read the sounds, but how to make the letters, which is very unusual for me. So over here, they have the instructions. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this book, but they do teach you how to write the letter sounds, the capital sounds with activities. They teach you to air write, dry erase, so on and so forth. So they go through the capital letters in the front. And as you can see, there's different activities here. Then they do the lowercase letters. And I'm just kind of flipping through this really quickly so you can see. It's just, I'll just show you some of the other pages. They're just like this. And then over here towards the middle in section 3, there are tracing and practice. So you begin writing words before you begin learning how to read words, which is very surprising to me. Most programs start with learning how to read words and then you write them, but this one starts with writing words that you can't necessarily read yet. So that was very unusual for me. I'm kind of intrigued by it. I don't know how much I like it yet, but it looks very interesting and I'm willing to give it a shot because I do know that this program uses more of an auditory aspect, and that's what makes a large difference for many children. Letter boxes. So this section here is about using these letter boxes to create words. And this is the answers down here to the, well, this is the answers to these questions. And these are the letter box words you want to build over here. So you want to build cat, hat, sat, pat, rat, and vat. And here are the letter boxes that you're going to be using to build those words in with the instructions and so on. So the rest of this book is dedicated to letter boxes. And this is before, this has no readers with it. This is just teaching your child how to write the sounds. And then you get into book 1. And this is where you begin learning how to read. Book 1 will use readers 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see, they're color-coded to the book. And it starts out the same way as the other book. So I'm going to skip the first few pages. And here we are on lesson 1. And in lesson 1, your child is not going to do any reading. You are going to read to them. On lesson 2, your child is still not reading. You're going to read a story to them. You're going to build some words or build some words. And then you're going to play a game. You're going to read to them again. You're going to have them do some activities. Matching activities. And I like this one especially because this is how dyslexics write, where all the capitals and uppercases are mixed up. And then there's copy work. And the copy work will help them work on some of the words they're learning in their story. This is the story. This is mom. This is dad. That's the story, same story from the book. If I can grab my book here. If you open it up to this page here, it says my family, and page 1 is this is mom. Oops. I can't keep this open because I haven't broke the spine on this book yet. This is mom. And if we're here on this one, you see this is mom. Then this is dad. Over here you have this is dad, and so on and so forth. So it tells you exactly what to do. There's scripted instructions, exactly how to teach it. Lesson 3, your child is still not reading yet. So you're reading this to your child, the same story again. You're working on it, and then around lesson 6, I believe, around lesson 6, you're going to have your child start to try to read some things back to you. And so it's a very unique approach to reading. I haven't really seen this before. I'm not totally sure how I feel about it, but it looks like they're trying to, I don't know what's a good way to describe it. It looks like when they're trying to teach your child to read, they're not trying to teach your child to so much read as to understand what they're reading and match up the sounds of what they're reading to the words that they're reading. So instead of doing a visual aspect for those children who just struggle with visual processing or dyslexia, and they just can't see what's written the way it's written, instead they're showing them how the sounds, instead of showing them how the letters match the sounds, they're showing them how the sounds match the letters. So over here, you're going to have the student read. So now your student is finally starting to read the stories, and you do this workbook. I believe this covers 5 years worth of instruction because each workbook has about a couple hundred pages. This one, we're on lesson 90, so you do about a lesson a day. So it has 4 or 5 years. There are certificates of achievement quite often during books 1, 2, 3, and 4, but not during the prep book. I'm not sure why, but so it's really interesting and intriguing, and every time I look at it, I just get a little more interested, a little more intrigued as to how it's going to work. And I really wish I had a child right now that was ready to read and wasn't reading it, so I could do this with them. Book 2 is going to match up with readers 4 and 5, and of course those are color coded again. And then again we have the instructions on how to do it, the copy work, the activities, and it tells you exactly what to do, when to do it. And there are certificates of achievement all throughout the book. Book 2 is pretty similar to book 1, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because I've already got quite a long video. Book 3 is very similar to book 2, but as you can see, we're getting into longer stories. We're getting into harder words. We're getting into more complex activities. We have more writing and writing without copying, so that way you can see how your child is doing. So here they even tell you the instructions. You want your child to draw a picture and then use the space provided to write and illustrate what they drew. So there are instructions on the pages, and they do tell you what to do. Here's choose 2 words from the list to illustrate in the space, and then write the words provided on the lines. So you're going to pick 2 words and then draw it, and then write the 2 words that you chose down here. So anyways, as you can see, this is getting a little more complicated, a little more complex. And like I said, I really need a child. I need to borrow somebody's child. If anybody has a child, they want to learn how to read and want to send them to my house, go ahead. And book 4 is now starting to almost line up with her Spelling UC program. As you can see here, we're going to start with, again, you're reading to your child. You're teaching them what the words sound like, and they can follow along. And then again, here we have here we're going to color the vowel chunks blue. So we're going to look through this passage here, and we're going to look every time there's an AE, AA, AI, so on. We're going to color those 2 vowels that are touching each other or next to each other. We're going to color those blue, so that way your child can learn how to look at that and see that. And then they're going to start doing a copy work over here. So if you have ever done Spelling UC, this is very similar to the way they teach there. Spelling UC didn't really work for us, but maybe it would have worked better if we would have had this aspect to it at the same time. So they do other chunks. So the vowel chunks are always blue, the bossy R chunks are red, and so on and so forth. And that's where your colored pencils will come into play. So that's pretty much it for that part. I'm going to show you there's a couple more pieces in here. There is this board. It kind of got stuck in the bottom. This is a laminated board. It's still in the plastic. I haven't opened the plastic up yet. But as you can see here, if I can zoom in on that, it is a board. It's an actual board, like a particle board. And it's laminated, and your child can write or draw on the top, right on the one board on the 1-line system here, and the 2-line system here. If you look at this, you'll notice that, well, I'm going to use a different book because this one doesn't have as much of the copy work in it. But if you look over here, you will see that this uses the 2-line system, like in Handwriting Without Tears. But it also has the letters, which are more of a Danielian or reason for handwriting type or style letter. So I like that because I prefer reason for handwriting over Handwriting Without Tears for many, many, many reasons that I won't go into right now. But I really love the way this uses that aspect of having the same type of handwriting that we're doing. But if you're using a different type of handwriting, there's also enough similarities there that you can make that work. I like the font on the readers. I like how the font is really nice. And even in the readers themselves, the font is very easy for dyslexics or children who are struggling to read to see the letters. I love the amount of white space on the page. It might look kind of boring to have so much white space on the page, but if your child is getting confused or there's just too much information coming in, it makes it really hard to sort all that information and get it back out again. So it's really nice that they have so much white space to make it easy for them just to see, and the words have so much space between them so you don't get mixed up on which line you're on or what you're reading. So that will help to eliminate a lot of those early issues that young readers have, where there's just so many lines, so they skip a line or they skip a word because the words are too close together. Here, there's lots and lots of space for them to learn how to read. In here also are several booklets. There is the 100 plus top audiobooks, very short booklet about some of Amy's from Sunlight's favorite audiobooks that you can use to encourage your child to like to read. The Happy Cheetah Reading, start with what works for you, just a brief overview of the program. There is the How the Brain Hijacks Your Child's Ability to Learn and what you can do about it. This book here will tell you like why your child shuts down when they're reading, why your child is struggling all of a sudden, and what you can do about it and how to fix it. This is another short booklet called The Successful Student's Cheat Code. This just basically tells you how do successful students that can read easily, what tips and techniques do they use that maybe you can teach your child to use so that way they don't struggle quite so much. This is how to raise reading levels in half the time without hours of effort, hiring a tutor, or spending big bucks on fancy doodads. As you can see, this program looks like there's a lot of pieces to it, but there's not. I'll go over that here in just a second. So I'm going to leave that here so I don't forget. And then the last part here is this book called Dr. Karen's Cure for Reading and Writing Challenges. Dyslexia, dysgraphia, poor spelling, ADD, ADHD, reading delays, poor comprehension, and much more. We have pretty much all of those except for reading delays at our house. This was written by Amy Lycos from Sunlight, and it's a really good book. It's really long. It's 130 some pages. If you have any child that struggles with reading, you will like this book a lot. It's really good. When I first read it, it was very informative. And it just goes through all the different sections. There is an introduction here written by John Hulsman, one of the founders of Sunlight. And then most of the rest of this book is written by, I believe, Amy. I don't remember exactly. It's been a long time since the last time I read it. But I'm going to read this one again because the one I read was, I'm just looking for a certain page here in the back. The one I read was kind of like a proofreading copy, and it was a beta reader. As you can see, my name's right here. Amy was so kind as to acknowledge me in her book, which is really funny because I didn't think I was all that helpful. I just kind of made a bunch of comments and questions, and I think I made a bigger mess of it than it originally was. But I love that she included this book here because this book tells the story of when she had a child who she tried pretty much all the reading programs for and nothing was working. And this is her story and her son's story of what they went through and how they finally found something that would work because the program didn't focus on teaching your child how to read what they see, but how to see what they're, or how to understand what they're seeing. And that's what one of the differences I think this program looks like it's going to make in children is that it doesn't teach you how to sound out words or how to read words like the Orton-Gilliam method or the Barton method that they teach you or all about reading, logic of English. They teach you the phonics to it. They teach you the sounds, the sounds, the phonograms the sounds that phonograms make, like CH says ch and k and sh, and they teach you all these sounds, and then your child needs to learn how to read those. But this is teaching your child how to read. It's not teaching them necessarily how to spell. It's just teaching them how to read, and it separates that from the spelling aspect of it. So when they're trying to learn how to read, they don't have to focus on how do I learn all these phonics rules that I'm going to need later for when I spell. It looks like it's just focusing on literally how to read, how to make those sounds that you're hearing match up to the words that you're seeing, how to understand how they work together to make things more clearly. So that is one aspect that I really am excited to try about this book. I've tried so many reading programs, and after a while they all kind of start to blend together and seem like they're very much the same. And there are things I love about some of them. I love all about reading because it just makes things so simple. But this looks like it makes things even more simple. And yet at the same time, it looks like your child can go even farther, even faster in reading. So like I said, I think these workbooks take about a year per workbook. I think this is about 4 years worth of workbooks, maybe 5. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't used them yet. Like I said, brand new to this. Just as new as everybody else, because I think it was released like a year ago. I've been waiting on it for forever to finally come out, and I'm so glad I got to purchase it. But I'm just going to show you here. It feels like there's so many parts and pieces to it. Okay, so first off, we have all the booklets. Lots of booklets, but that's just information for you. You can read those in your spare time. That's not actually part of the program itself. Then there's the workbooks, but you're only going to be using one workbook at a time, and you're going to be using one of these readers at a time. So you're not using a lot of pieces and parts there. On a lot of programs, there's so many pieces and so many parts and so many activities. The colored pencils, so far they look like they're only used in one of the workbooks. So you're not going to be using those a whole lot. The bookmarks are cute and nice, but they're not really a part that you absolutely have to have. These cards are kind of like an extra practice, as is this board. This board is kind of fun. You can use it in your lessons. So, you have a book, the board, and pencil, and I don't know what this cardboard piece is for. I'm sure it's not for very many activities. You have your markers to go with the board, your pencil grip to go with your pencil. You have your buzzer for some of the games, and then you have a couple games, not very many, not so many pieces to lose, and a few magnet letters. And that's it for the pieces, really. So even though it looks like there's a ton of stuff, and there is a ton of stuff, it's all fairly self-contained, and you don't have to always be pulling out pieces and parts. And one of the reasons I didn't like Logic of English was just because there were so many parts and pieces. And even with All About Spelling and All About Reading, a lot of times I don't even pull out the letter tiles because there's just so many of them, and I have to organize them and all of that. Here, there's just a few letters. Your kids can just pick out the ones they want. There's just a few card games, so it's really easy, and the rest of this is really simple, so I don't have to be pulling out lots of parts and pieces. So again, just to go over what I like about the program so far, I like that it's easy to use. It's scripted for you, or it tells you exactly what to teach and how to teach it. It breaks up lessons for you, so you know exactly how much to teach in one day. It tells you what to do if that's too much, or if your writing is too much. That's all included. It tells you all of it. It tells you how to use it all. I love the texture of the books. They're glossy. They're sturdy. The paper is quite thick for a book. And I like the feel of the paper and the texture. The colors are pretty. They're not I have trouble. I have sensory processing disorder, so some books have a really odd color to them, and they really make me feel weird inside. That's hard to explain, but these have a nice color, a nice texture to them. So if you have a child that has sensory issues, they're not going to be getting frustrated or upset with these as much. And the workbooks are extremely high quality. I love the white space. And I love how it looks like it's going to be different from everything else. So that way, if you've tried everything else and it's not working, it looks like this might just work for you. I like how you can purchase the whole kit, or you can just get the workbook and the books and just do the very basics and still have all the instruction you need there. And you can just buy one workbook at a time or I don't know if you can buy one book at a time. I'm not sure how that works, and I like how if you want to reuse it for a second kid, you just get one more workbook. The copyright does not allow you to make copies of that. But you can just buy the one workbook, and you have another whole entire reading program ready to go for your kid. You don't need to keep track of where you put the teacher's manual or anything like that. And I just like the way it looks. It's all color-coded. It just makes my heart happy to see the color coding. And I just like the way it all seems to mesh so well together. Like it was so carefully thought out and planned that it feels like it's going to actually work and do some good. We're probably going to use this. I had thought originally I would purchase it and do a video and then get rid of all the parts we're not going to use. But so far, even though my youngest two are reading fairly well already, we do have a lot of dyslexia issues still. So I'm probably going to go right back through the program and use the whole thing. So I'm wondering if I need to order more workbooks. But it looks like something that I can use even with older children who are struggling just as much as younger children who are just learning. And it looks like it's going to work equally well for children who have that processing disorder where they're just not understanding what they're seeing as much, as well as children who can take it in very quickly. It just depends on what age you use it at. And I think that's it. What I dislike about it so far, I haven't really found anything that I dislike about it. I'm kind of a little bit hesitant on knowing how it works because I haven't used it yet. But other than that, knowing how it works and trying it out, I'm excited to try it. I can't wait. So if you guys have any questions or comments or need to see anything else, let me know. I hope I showed you everything and showed you what you get in the box. I'm really excited to try it. And I know many of you have been waiting to see if it's how I like it. So far, I really, really like it. Even though it's so different that I'm kind of nervous about it, it looks so exciting and fun and colorful and bright. And it looks like it's so different that maybe it's going to kick in some extra brain power, brain functioning to help them learn how to read better. So I think that's it. This is quite a long video. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And thank you and have a blessed day.